For around a year now, I've been stuck at around 2,300 online ELO and around 1,800 FIDE. I've been doing a lot of things to improve my ELO over the last year, but even though I can feel myself becoming a better chess player, my rating doesn't reflect it. But just a couple of weeks ago, the highest rated Chilean Grandmaster Mauricio Flores reached out to offer me a coaching lesson. In today's video, we'll be going through the complete, raw, and uncut coaching lesson that Mauricio gave me. So, you guys will be able to see exactly what a Grandmaster coaching lesson looks like. If you guys would like to see the second half of our lesson, feel free to check out the video on Mauricio's channel, which I'll leave a link for in the description below. Before we do get into today's video though, if you guys do enjoy my content and want to help support my channel, feel free to check out my coaching options in the description below. Coaching is certainly not necessary to becoming a great chess player. However, if you're not someone who has all the time in the world to spend training and studying, coaching will absolutely save you years of time trying to do everything yourself. You can use code FIRST at checkout to get 25% off your first lesson, or book 4 lessons in advance to get your 5th one completely free. But if you guys want an alternative free option, you guys can feel free to join my Discord where you can collaborate with higher rated players who can help you get to your next rating goal. But with all that being said, let's get straight into the lesson.
Okay, so let's get started. I think we can review the games in order. There were maybe just a few kind of just catchphrases that I wanted to share with you, and based on that, I think you can kind of learn the most. I think sometimes it's easy to get lost on the calculation, but if you're able to put the learning into words, then it's a lot easier to remember it.
Yeah, 100%.
So let me show you the first game. So it was a Catalan, and I'm very happy with this at the beginning. I think here I have some kind of question about why b3.
Right.
Because why not knight d2, for example, or queen?
So with the closed Catalan, I find myself... So when it's like an open Catalan or they do something weird like Tarrasch, I feel very comfortable in terms of the plans that I'm going to make in the middle game. But when it comes to the closed Catalan, I kind of get a little bit stuck, especially where I want this bishop to go. Maybe that's just because I haven't studied it enough. But I feel like this bishop ends up just being bad for the whole game unless I do try and put it onto like b2, because my idea eventually is that I want to break for e4. And if I can break for e4, usually they try to break in the center somehow, and my bishop eventually gets open in an endgame. But maybe it's wrong. I mean, the engine thinks that b3 is like not the worst thing ever. Obviously, It's not white to move, but b3 is like 4th top engine move, so it's not bad. Maybe that's... when I do review my games, I use the engine, so maybe that's like a bad habit of mine, like just saying, oh, this move is not a problem for me because the engine thinks it's okay. But yeah, I would agree that generally when I do get these b3 structures, I kind of struggle for a long-term plan. Before we do continue, it's super important to mention that Mauricio is not only the Grandmaster coaching me in this video, but is also the founder of ChessMind.ai. ChessMind.ai. ChessMind.ai is a next-generation AI-powered chess improvement platform who also happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Not only does ChessMind have completely free puzzles, but they also have a wide range of courses you can select from for less than $5 per month. All of the courses are handcrafted by Chilean Grandmaster Mauricio Flores and are designed to make you a master of any opening variation in around an hour. They perfectly balance top quality theory with ease of learning to take the boring out of any study. Once you've completed these opening courses, you can either play puzzles deriving from said opening, or dive into their AI integrations which quiz your knowledge on what you just learned. The AI acts as a replacement for a coach, asking you to find characteristics of certain positions and explain the advantages and disadvantages. You can check out ChessMind.ai with my link in the description, where you can get 30% off your subscription.
Sure, let me show you. This is because I play this exact line. I play always knight bd2, and when my opponent castle, I play queen c2. And I think here, the most natural is for people to play b6. I don't know if you have encountered other options.
No, b6 would make sense to me, yeah. Especially in closed Catalan. Usually, I mean, the knight might not be b7 by the time they play b6, but yeah, b6 would be a common response.
So after we play e4, there is a big question of what they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what could they do? They could play bishop b7, waiting, or they could capture. They can capture on c4, e4, right? Let's say they take. This is a very comfortable game, right?
Yeah,
I
100%.
Think, yeah, this is, I mean, basically you have kind of a standard, it's like, I call this like a Caro-Kann kind of structure. the opponent want to
Yeah.
break. But if they manage to do it effectively, it will be equality, and if they don't, you will be kind of guaranteed a better position. And
Yeah,
here, the bishop goes to f4.
Right, and rook d1 is the idea is if they push, we want to push d5?
Well, I mean, no, if they push, you want to take. But
Oh, right, yeah, of course in this instance, but...
we're trying to make it difficult for them to push in the first place. Like, for example, c5. We can take. And, I mean, what do you want to take back with? If you take back with the knight, you lose a pawn.
Yeah, right.
And if you want to take back with the bishop, I take here. So when they take back, yeah, there's knight g5.
Oh, knight g5 is nice. Yeah, I need to get used to these knight g5 ideas. There's one in the Queen's Indian defense as well that I thought was really cool. I actually had a YouTube video where it came up in a game. So these knight g5 ideas are actually like something I'm not so familiar with, but...
And yeah, here it's actually winning a piece, right? Because take, and then after you play here, just take.
Oh, yeah, right, because danger levels as well, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in this position, at least, it's like rook d1 is good for preventing that. And then if the opponent play here, you play bishop f4. So it's kind of an annoying situation already. Like they take, you take. Again, they cannot take because of the pin. They give you away.
Queen c8 here?
Queen c8, sure. I play here.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I guess rook d8 maybe.
Yeah, and then maybe bishop f4, and then if you push, I can always play d5.
Yeah, right. This does look really good for white.
At least we are being annoying for more moves, right?
Right.
So that's already a pretty good outcome.
And it's like you're just giving them more opportunities to. I mean, this is like the best line for black, and it's still not amazing for them. So I guess you give them more opportunities to make mistakes that you can punish, I guess.
Exactly. So
yeah.
But maybe the key thing to remember here is that you develop the bishop to f4 because your opponent took. Now, if the opponent doesn't take, then here you can just play e5, and here you can kind of change to a French.
Yeah, I've actually studied this exact position before, which is funny. So I think this must have been the theory that I initially studied, but somewhere along the lines, I've kind of forgotten it. And because this position, I mean, well, this engine suggesting a5, but I know there's lines where where you can even get a knight onto c6. And you're forcing one of the bishops off. Maybe it's not this one specifically, but this looks a lot more familiar to me.
Yeah, and actually, this line, I personally get it a lot. I play a lot of bullet, and I get it a lot, and people always play instinctively rook c8. So I play here queen a4, attacking that pawn, which is not a big threat. But again, people instinctively play a6. And then when you play bishop f1, they kind of go for this thinking that they're going to have some kind of a queenside play.
Yeah, but it's just this bishop's locked out of the game forever.
Yeah, and now it's very easy to go for a checkmate attack.
Alright, how do you get... Oh yeah, you just bring this in and it's defended, yeah. Okay.
And not even that, but like I'm also going to play h4 and bring the knight.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
you could even play king g2 and rook h1 after as well.
Exactly. Right. So there's a lot of stuff. And it's very hard for them to get meaningful counterplay. When they play knight c4, just ignore it. They will have a lot of time to build something real.
Yeah, 100%. What if they try and break out with like f6 or something early?
They should probably. I think that's a very reasonable practical choice. But after I take, and I mean, this pawn is also vulnerable, right?
Yeah, true.
So they can try to do that, but they will be under pressure either way. Like you can play bishop g5. Maybe let's say they play like this, and then I don't know if this works. This falls for a trick with rook takes f3.
Yeah.
But let's just be a little bit more careful. Like this. This is very unpleasant.
Yeah, and it's just like too many pieces are over here that don't, like, this rook should be here, not the other pieces. It's kind of, they've just got, like, the harmony of their pieces is just not correct for the type of break that they're going for.
Exactly. So, yeah, this is kind of unpleasant. And then the way that I would think about this is when I play, let's say, bishop e4. Let's say if they play bishop a6, maybe now I play b3. This is at least the way I typically play. And then now I play bishop e2. So it's like the development of the bishop, where you're going, is not that clear. So you might as well delay the decision until you know how your opponent played.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. Yeah, I know queen c2 is all just a good move in the Catalan, like, in half of the lines anyway, so that makes a lot more sense than playing b6. I think I played b6 it's just like once they have a knight on d7, I mean, we can even go back. So like if they were to take here, I would be like, okay, knight e5 is my move.
Yep.
But once they play this and they don't allow knight e5, I'm kind of my immediate
instinct
response
is like
to this. It's like, okay, this pawn is like
under
this
threat.
is gonna be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
I guess-
you definitely have to. I have lost a lot of games because I didn't defend the pawn early enough. So knight bd2 or queen c2 works just as well. Yeah.
What do we do? So just here, would we just like play chess? Like this is just, why is this so much better for white if they do this?
Sure. So what is this? This is like I would call this a slab structure. We have traded the d5 pawn for the c4 pawn, and then what we have is a strong pawn in the center, right? d4. The only way the opponent can equalize is by trading these pawns.
Yeah.
e5 seems impossible. c5 is doable. But if you play something like queen c2 and they play c5, they are not entirely prepared for this trade, because you play something like rook d1, and then it's like, okay, they destroy your center, but now, I mean, just compare the bishop.
Too much activity. Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I knew that the reason would be because the pieces just don't get active enough, but sometimes you see these kind of positions for black and you're like, okay, white should be much better because the activity is so much better. But it's not so simple. Like you do have to find the continuation and prove that, prove why your pieces are going to be better in the long run. But if you don't find that sequence, then they can equalize pretty quickly.
But one very quick like a rule of thumb to follow is just compare the bishops.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you have those two bishops on the board, it's like you're guaranteed to be better because they cannot put the rook there, so you can kind of invade on c7 with the queen very quickly.
Yeah.
And just trade stuff.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is just leave this bishop back here for as long as, well, not as long as possible, but much longer than I've been leaving it here. Usually I prioritize developing this bishop, thinking that it's like the next piece that needs to move in my position. Usually I go bishop g5, bishop f4, or b3
right.
to like make a plan for it, but like maybe it's much better to just wait for a better opportunity for this bishop. Because even if you
need
do
to know.
develop this bishop, like it's not going to be a fantastic bishop ever. But you also don't want to trade it in a lot of ways because then that bishop will get active. So yeah, it makes sense to just leave it
you don't
back.
want to give up the bishop on f6. I only do that as a last resort, like when I really didn't, maybe I didn't play the opening that well, so I ended up trading that bishop.
Yeah, I think another thing that kind of stops me or kind of worries me is like whenever you play bishop f4, there's always this like knight h5 idea. Like obviously, so it's just better to just not develop the bishop at all because there's not an amazing square for it right now. And like b7 or b2 is like an okay square, but it also does involve wasting a move with b3. So
actually, let me show you something about the move order. So after g3, the line that I just showed you with knight bd2 and e4 is so comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So the way people avoid this, they play check and then they play bishop e7.
Yeah.
So that when we get to that exact position that we just saw, I don't have knight bd2.
Right.
That's the whole point. It's like they wasted, kind of like a wasted a move to prevent knight bd2.
I've had this line before, but honestly, I don't mind it so much. I guess because I never played knight bd2 to begin with, so it didn't affect me. But I would assume now like bishop f4. I think the line that I've looked at is like bishop f4, and like you play rook d1, and there's lines where you're supposed to bring the bishop all the way back to c1. Like you play this b6, and let's say rook d1, and then I think is it knight a5. And then you go all the way back to c1. Yeah, I've looked at this line before, and I thought this wasn't so bad.
Yeah, so basically, when they play that, you can undo that annoyance of having the bishop on d2.
Yeah, I think something I got confused about was in this line, where you go back to c1, and they just go back here. Are we not just repeating moves? Or is there
because now you can play b3 and knight c3 and e4.
Ah, right, and the bishop is like on a separate square, because it was on d2 before. So
it's
not just a pointless shuffle around. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yes. But anyway, so the beginning, there's always like a little bit of nuance to get a slightly better position. But what I wanted to say is like after b3, later you're kind of in a weird position because on a5 it's not that obvious what to do, and that a4 is a little bit unpleasant, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that. And there's, I mean, the engine thinks now that you can just kind of play knight bd2. Maybe it's like this, and is it? Oh, I don't really. Okay, let's see it. Yeah, I don't really like opening up this rook. That doesn't feel great to me, but
Well, I mean, the trade is good for you. This is perfectly fine for you.
Okay.
I thought maybe you were concerned about a3, but that's also not a real concern. But it is not as nice as it could have been. Let's just say it that way.
I suppose in these closed Catalans positions, especially when there's a big pawn chain like this, if the pawn chain like this doesn't exist and my bishop can target weaknesses on the queen side, I'm absolutely okay to play on this side of the board. But in a closed Catalan position, I'm much more inclined to play on this side of the board. Because anything, I just want to lock this side of the board as fast as possible so I can play on this side, basically.
Right. No, that all makes sense. But anyway, that would have been correct. But I think the a4, I think is where the kind of problems begin a little bit. And it just looks so odd, right?
Yeah.
And then your opponent played this instinctive move bishop b4. But I think, the square is weak, but no reason to rush to it. Because then you can maybe drive them away. Yeah. But if the opponent just played b6 and bishop here, it's just a little bit unpleasant.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so I think a4 inaccuracy, and then here bishop c3. And this is not a very good transition because now the opponent kind of takes toward the center.
Yeah.
There is the square on c3. So I have a question. In this position, were you thinking like, am I better? Am I worse? What was your thought?
Honestly, I thought from a practical standpoint that I was better. I thought that obviously it's a little bit difficult because this knight can't develop without, letting them get to this c3 square. But I thought after knight d2 and f5, I genuinely thought f3 was really good. I guess I just missed the idea of there was this like idea where they can wrap around like this, and I just completely missed this. But I think other than that, I would be pretty comfortable in this position. I also did just miss a lot of opportunities for my opponent to bring that other knight into the game.
Right.
I think that, well, we'll get to it in a second, but there was just one crucial moment in the game where if my opponent played a certain move that I saw in the game, I was like, okay, I'm probably losing here. But then they ended up playing queen g5, and I thought that I was just completely winning. But
yes,
in a position like this, I've studied a couple of lines where you can kick away the knight with f3. But clearly it's not this one.
Yeah, no. I think what I thought about here is that the f3 e4 idea is kind of an ambitious plan.
Yeah.
But because you're worse here, it's kind of a suicidal plan, right? So it's like what I want to say as a general rule is if you're worse, you can't be opening the game. You can't be opening the game like this, right?
Yeah, right.
But I guess the question is, how do you know that you're a little bit worse? I think the knight is like you're not fully developed.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. You don't have enough development.
I guess my thought process is, okay, I've got a bad knight, but he's got a bad bishop, and the bishop's just never going to get out. But yeah, I guess these like 3 pieces are better than these 3 pieces.
Somehow.
For me, so yeah, makes more sense now that I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I would just say I wouldn't play this e4 unless I'm like substantially ahead in development.
Yeah, 100%.
So if it's like even, because here it's kind of even, right? We both have some pieces out. Unless you're like ahead in development, I would say that e4 will bring more trouble because you're investing time.
Yeah.
Doing it, and your opponent can use that time to counterattack, right? So here e4, take knight g4 is already very dangerous, right?
Yeah, this is what I missed, because I missed that, okay, queen e2, he doesn't have to, like, he can play this, and suddenly this is attacked and this is attacked.
Right.
And this also obviously comes with this, which is not so great. And yeah, there's like not a million great ways to deal with it. I guess maybe I was thinking maybe this, can you just go here? But then...
Yeah, the dungeon always has punishments, right? It's like a here, and this.
Yeah, I feel like my calculation wasn't terrible in this game. Like, I'm not mad at myself for missing these like really tricky moves, but maybe it's just my intuition should have been a little bit better.
Yes. I think your sense of danger is like the position feels exposed kind of thing.
Yeah, I think my evaluation is not so great. I think maybe that's not a bad thing all the time, because I'm very optimistic in positions, and I rarely kind of go into these very depressing lines. I'm always trying to like find something better to try and win. But yeah, it definitely is also a weakness in the same sense.
Right. But okay, so then after knight f6, then okay, that would have been kind of lost. But after queen g5, okay, you took, and this is again kind of balanced. But then again, I feel like it was the same issue. You played d5, which again was problematic.
So the line that I didn't see the c5 at all. Like that was complete. A knight c5, I completely just didn't see this at all. I was so sure that he would play queen e3, and then I thought, okay, I need to play here, and if he I need to take, and then I need to take, and this should be better for me. I thought if he took my bishop, I'm gonna be better. If he takes my knight, I'm gonna be better. Again, I just missed this.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, it's maybe I've got like a little bit of tunnel vision for that kind of thing as well. Where I know that's like such an amateurish weakness to have, but just like when I take like that and I'm threatening this and this, I just kind of expect that you have to take back.
Yes. No, I totally get it.
Even though that's not the case in this situation, you can kind of just ignore it. I'm actually curious if knight c5 in this. Oh, you just take, and this is still better for black. Wow, I wouldn't. I mean, it makes sense because the knights are just terrible, but
yeah.
Even
I think your knights. The problem of your knights is worth like a whole pawn, right? It's like that's the issue.
Yeah, and you can't even like you can bring them. I mean, obviously the rook is under attack, but let's say knight f3 was possible, for example. Like, there's no great spot to put this knight anywhere. Like,
yeah, exactly. You are a pawn up, but you can barely feel it.
Yeah,
it's so, like these pawns are not going anywhere.
Do you think in my games I need to focus on being more accurate in my evaluation of the position?
I think so. I think the issue here in both, to me, the way that I would summarize this game, because I think we're kind of done reviewing the key moments, because then you just won very easily. But
yeah,
I think in both moves tell me like the same symptom. It's like you overestimated your chances and you played an attacking move that it was kind of suicidal because you thought that you are. If you think that you're winning or that you're pressing, then you are going to be thinking in a very aggressive way. You're going to think how to open the game, how to create threats, how to make the game concrete.
Yeah.
But you're actually worse. So this move is actually making you extremely exposed.
Yeah, I also think that d5 was not as bad as the first mistake I made. Because d5, like when they brought the queen here, you're thinking, okay, they're probably most likely going to justify this move.
Right.
And after knight c5, it's difficult for an opponent to kind of switch plans like that. Do you think that my opponent here is 2,300 rated. Do you think that this is something that a 2,300 rapid player should be finding, knight c5, and just abandoning the idea of coming in with the queen?
No, not necessarily, but I think that they might find it by accident. Like, for example, they might calculate that the queen e3 is losing. And they might just be like, okay, I just take and then play this, for example.
And start looking for something else, yeah. I think that this mistake here, this one is, like, I found it as soon as they played knight g4, I was like, okay, yeah, knight g4, queen e2, knight f6, and I'm losing. And I was so sure of that. And I think that's a much worse mistake because it's something that I found immediately and I didn't have to look at the game review after to figure out that it was losing. So I feel like a 2,300 should definitely be finding that.
Right.
Yeah, so I think the second one is like I should be doing better, but it's definitely not as bad as a mistake as this first one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then I think we can move on to the next game.
Mm-hmm.
So the next game, actually, I only had one comment. So I reviewed a lot of games, and for this one, I thought, you kind of won in a very crushing way. Yeah. But there was one comment that I had. It's like all of this was perfect, right? And then before you played, and then a4, and then b5.
Yeah, this is like kind of the bayonet attack kind of idea. Is that in the King's Indian? I can't remember what it's in. But
typically, yeah. When people say bayonet, I think King's Indian.
Yeah, and I thought that this must just be good. Of course, the engine thinks there's like better plans, but I thought that this was fine. Just because...
No, this is good.
Yeah. Usually these advanced pawns, as long as it can't be undermined in the center, this is going to like benefit you some way eventually. Like, it's never going to... As long as you don't overcommit and like allow holes, you're probably going to have some benefits to this.
Yes. I just wanted to say one thing that I thought was curious. So first of all, here, this plan is perfect, right? You're kind of playing against the base of the chain, What
Yeah.
I thought was curious was when you took on B8.
Yeah, I did have a reason for this. It's very shallow. I just thought, okay, if they take, I'm gonna play knight e5 and I'm gonna attack the pawn. And
Sure.
I thought that this bishop, like, okay, this bishop's really like struggling here. Maybe this knight is worth more than the bishop, but maybe my bishop was just too good. Like, if I don't play bishop takes, what am I guess
Queen A7, Queen B2.
Queen b2. What is the idea of Queen b2? Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Just bring the
quite
rook.
see it.
Just play Queen B2 and bring the rook.
Ah, okay, and put the rook on the AFR. Okay, that
Right,
makes
right, right.
sense.
I mean, to be honest, it's a very minor point because I mean, you won anyway, and you could almost say that you won because of this. There was a little bit of a tactical shot with bishop takes, but
Yeah, I missed that.
let's ignore that for a moment. But I think as a matter of principle, I would not be trading bishop for knight. The reason that I mentioned this actually is I thought some people look at this and they think, I have some kind of a bad bishop because it's in the same kind of a square as this
Yeah,
pawns.
no, I thought it was a decent bishop. I think in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, okay, knight a5 might be annoying, but I also, yeah, I knew this was a good bishop. I just thought that to really focus on how bad this bishop is, I need to make some kind of imbalance. But I guess you can prove that this is a bad bishop whilst this is also a good bishop, right? You don't need to trade it off to make an imbalance. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And okay, this is a very good game, and actually you won kind of quickly after this, right? So you play 95 there, queen, and then pretty much the next move is game over, right?
Yeah, I made a mistake in the end game, and I was kind of slow converting, but I think that
It's okay.
that was also, I was very low on time when I
Sure,
made the
no,
mistake in the end game.
that's okay. This was a crushing win anyway. So let's go to the next one. Again, there's a few small points.
Yeah, this is
So-
over the board as well, swapping from my online games.
So let's take a look at this. So take, g3, this is all perfect. And then here, knight c3, fine. Actually, there is a line that I would recommend here. It's a small difference. Is I would castle.
Right.
And after bishop e7, you can take. And after they take, you can play queen c2.
Right. And so we're stopping the bishop from ever developing like this, and we're hitting the bishop with temper. If they just go bishop b6, what does our next move look like?
Knight c3 and knight a4.
Ah, okay, and we're just chasing this bishop off the board. So if
It's all,
castles,
yeah, and there. And then bishop.
knight a4 here. Okay. Ooh, bishop e6. Can you go b3 as well? Is this an option?
Well, you could, but like, why would you do that if you can go bishop e3, right? It's like the bishop of e3 is so much nicer because I mean, you can play like a...
Yeah, I guess b3 is more attractive to me because the center is not locked anymore. So you get, and this is kind of maybe proving that this bishop is bad and this bishop is good because this one stares into a pawn chain and this one stares into the king.
Sure. No, that makes sense too. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I would also like to, in any game that they've got this isolated pawn, I'm just always thinking, okay, I'm gonna bring some pieces and I'm gonna attack
Exactly.
this. I really like having weaknesses like this in games where maybe I'm not necessarily threatening to win it, but I'm toying between, okay, am I gonna win this pawn or am I gonna go after your king? And when you can kind of divide your opponent's pieces' attention like that and make them try to simultaneously defend two weaknesses at once, it's lot
difficult
more
for
common
them.
for them to drop one of them, and usually they'll prioritize their king and suddenly you're up the pawn and you win like that. So I like to be flexible like that. So, but
That
yeah,
makes
I
sense.
think this line makes a lot more sense than just.
To be honest, I mean, they are both about the same, but like that line was kind of added as a suggestion in Abruk's book. Abruk released some very good 1d4 books, and he had like a new release in 2015, and in the 2015 release, he mentioned this option as being slightly better.
I'll maybe we'll try it out because it does come up more often than you'd think, the Tarrasch.
At least in my online games, it comes up a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Especially over the board, actually, it comes up quite a lot.
Right. So, okay, but so anyway, so here everything is perfect. And then c4 is like, I would say, not a very impressive move all the time.
Yeah.
But here seems to be kind of working for now. But so you play 95, which is perfect. Bishop here, and here I would be very tempted to kind of convert the pawn structure. This is the only point I wanted to make. Is how about you play b3, for example?
Right. Yeah. I was kind of. I think in this game I was very keen on winning. I think I definitely did not want to allow any chances for my opponent to draw this game.
Sure.
And I for some reason I calculated a lot of lines where I was struggling to really. I think I didn't see this b3 move. I think a lot of the moves that I was thinking of, like I was thinking of f4. I was thinking of maybe there's knight takes c6 or something. Maybe just e3, and I was thinking, okay, how do I start any kind of meaningful progression in this game if I don't do something weird here? And I mean, the engine doesn't hate what I did. Did it?
Right.
Does the engine hate what I did? I can't actually
No,
remember.
not particularly, but I wanted to show you because I think it's useful. It's kind of like it can save you a lot of time calculating, and it can also make it easier for you to play if you know what's the pawn structure or the middle game that you're aiming for.
Yeah.
So if you play b3, the idea is when the opponent takes, you can take on c6, and then you can take with the pawn.
Right, and
now you have
2 targets, yeah.
So you have some like a very clear plan going forward.
Yeah. What should we do with this knight now? I mean, we can leave it there for now, but long term, what are we doing with the knight?
Knight a4, knight c5.
Okay, and just blockading and making sure that they can't get rid of this.
Yeah, and I feel like here you can definitely make them suffer here.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I mean, the engine is not particularly like in love with this yet, but like a human will definitely feel the weight of this pressure very quickly, right? It's like, yeah, the people do not like to play this.
Yeah, and b3 is even like, there are London system lines where if the punishment for playing c4 is by playing b3, right? If they play it too early. So if they play c4, for example, before the bishop gets out to d3, and they're trying to prevent the bishop from getting to d3, then you can undermine the structure. They play like b5, you play a4, and you get this whole thing. But
exactly.
Yeah, so this thematically makes a lot of sense. Yeah, then I played knight. I didn't find that. I thought knight takes c4 was interesting.
Yeah, no, knight takes c4 is kind of a crushing move in some positions, but weirdly enough, in this position, it doesn't give you an advantage.
Yeah.
So here, after you play d5, if the opponent just kind of ignore you with a move like queen b6.
Yeah, I kind of foresaw that I would be getting the doubled pawns, so they would have doubled pawns in a position, and then I can kind of just focus the rest of the game on winning the doubled pawns, because I feel like that's one of my strong points, is even if the game looks extremely boring, I can always kind of target these pawns and successfully win them. I feel like I'm very good at that, so this is kind of right up my alley, but...
No, that makes sense. I think in this game, the bishops add a bit of pressure. That's kind of the problem. It's like according to the engine, at least, black is supposed to be a little bit better on paper, at least.
Yeah, I think it's just... Is there just a lack of progress for white's really making the position? Like,
I think the problem is in this position, even though the pawns are doubled, it will not be easy for you to exploit that because your opponent has pressure as well.
Yeah.
So for example, if you try to move this knight out of the way, there is like, okay, bishop e7, maybe bishop takes even, but like bishop e7, let's say.
Yeah.
Then you play knight d2, hoping for something, and then after queen here, there's pressure. You play here, I play c3, now I have this pawn. It's like...
Yeah. I mean, that's difficult for someone my level to find, but yeah, I agree that it's not ideal. You should play a more... principled. The more principled b3 makes.
I think
sense.
It's very common actually to be like a certain level. It's very common to be very like static thinking.
Yeah.
Like thinking, oh, I have better pawn structure, so I'm better. But then it's like sometimes the opponent's pieces are just so active.
Yeah, I agree, and that did happen in the game. Like, I think my opponent played it slightly differently, but in the end, I kind of got, so they played like bishop g4, and maybe this is like slightly better for me, a slightly better variation, but I did feel that a lot, and I think there were times in the game where they did just stack up pressure like this, and I couldn't get out of it.
Right.
I mean, we can like go through it right now, where I try to get e4 off, I make this pawn structure, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna win this one. So I think this is like a more...
No,
I mean,
here you have it. I mean, here there is some kind of a clear-cut advantage.
Yeah. And then I ended up messing up in the end. I actually should have lost this game realistically. I think there was like a mate at the end my opponent missed, but...
But I mean, strategically, at least you kind of won the strategic battle. You got to a position that is like objectively better for you. There is no argument about it. And maybe, sure, there was some calculation later. But okay. So, I mean, to recap, I think what would be my main observations of this kind of a family of games? So the games that we've seen are all closely related, right? We have we saw a Catalan, a Slav, and a Tarash. They're all like a D4, D5 kind of games.
Yeah.
There was a bit of like attacking when you don't have enough development for it. That was number one. The second one was trading a piece that is better than the other. And the third is maybe maybe this point is less valid once I hear your thinking, but perhaps knowing what's the typical superior structure that you're supposed to aim for. I would say that this whole idea with B3 is like around here. This pawn structure is like very thematic. It's like this is like the standard way to be better in this position. So if we can find a way for it.
How would you suggest I get better at that though? Because I feel like obviously we're out of theory here. Like each side has played a couple of weird moves. So how would you suggest I like kind of figure out? Is it just by playing more games? Like the more games you play, the more games you analyze, you'll eventually realize or come to find that certain positions, this is what the pawn structure needs to be like, or is there a better way to kind of figure that out?
I think that's the way. I think if you review some games, you can maybe see a little. Sometimes looking at classical games, like you can look at how the world champions of 1970s used to beat the challengers, right?
Yeah,
things like that, right? So it's like because those games and sometimes are very clean. Like there is not a lot of flashy tactics. They just kind of focus on a single weakness. They kind of communicate a single idea a bit more clearly sometimes.
Right, yeah, I also tend to shy away from like recent Grandmaster games and analyzing them because I feel like they're almost too perfect. And even though there's still lots to be learnt, I feel like, okay, my opponent, we're not going to get to this position out of the first 10 moves, like never.
Right.
So it feels like there's less to be learnt. But maybe like older games where they're not so aware of the perfect theoretical lines, where they used to play some kind of inaccuracies. Maybe that's like a better way to be trading and better games to be reviewing.
I think the recent games, they find tactical justifications for positionally weird moves.
Yeah.
Whereas in the classical games, it's like they always try to play positionally kind of accurate games. They rely less on tactics, I think.
100%, yeah, I agree. Well, great stuff for today's lesson. We're going to do the second half of this lesson on Mauricio's channel, which will be linked in the description below, so feel free to check that out. But thank you for coming on, Mauricio. Very good
thank
lesson.
You for having me.
Very happy with everything. And we'll see you in the second part of the video.